Fantasy Roundtable. I'm Erin here with Dave and Jeff, and we're going to talk to you about our wide receiver picks for Week 10 Daily Fantasy. Dave, who are your wide receiver picks this week?
Oh man, I got two good ones this week. I haven't jumped on the Denver bandwagon most of the season, and that's probably been my my fault. Wes Welker this week against San Diego, I think, is a very good selection. I have Phillip Rivers going at quarterback. I think San Diego is going to put up a lot of points in this game, and thus I think Denver, as usual, is going to have to counter with a lot of points. We're going to see Denver throwing the ball. That's no surprise. San Diego is not a great pass defense, and Welker's been their most consistent receiver. Every week he seems to catch 7 or 8 balls. He's catching touchdowns, I think, every game except for one this year. I can see him having, just his average game would be a good game. But I would say in some ways my top receiver is Andre Johnson. I had him last week. I talked about how Case Keenum makes this team, the Texans, a different type of team. It's amazing that Andre Johnson has accomplished the feats that he's accomplished in the NFL with the quarterback that he's had. Now all of a sudden you got a guy who complements Johnson, can actually throw the ball deep, can lob the ball high, can let Johnson, if you saw that game on TV that he played over the weekend, he's catching high balls, he's behind the defense. And Keenum is going to throw the ball deep seemingly 10 times a game. I can see Johnson catching 2 or 3 of these balls every game he plays the rest of the season. I think he's going to have a monster finish to the season. And this week against Arizona is a decent matchup. Not a great matchup, but good enough, I think.
Yeah, what it reminds me of too is Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford just throwing the ball up to him.
Absolutely.
And then hoping. I think that's a pretty good strategy for Case Keenum right now. Andre Johnson is a guy that if he's not going to get it, he's going to knock it down so the defender can't get it. So Andre Johnson right now, last week I wasn't really on the bandwagon. I wanted to see if they had any chemistry. Goes and gets a few touchdowns. Apparently I have a little chemistry, so I'm not going to knock it this week. I went with one gut call at receiver and then another with a really good matchup, and we'll see how that works out. I took Antonio Brown in the really good matchup against the Bills. That kind of speaks for itself. And then I went with a gut call in Golden Tate. Golden Tate, I don't have some amazing stats to throw at you or anything. What I'm doing, though, is I'm watching these games. I've seen all the Seattle games, and it just looks like Tate's going to break out. He's getting the targets, and I see defenses start to try to key on him, and I don't think they're going to be able to key on him this week. I think he's going to have a huge game.
Well, I guess my question would be, and I certainly don't know the answers, what's the status of Harvin?
Well, I don't know if anyone knows the answer. I don't know if Harvin knows the answer, but if it was up to him, I get the feeling he doesn't want to play for some reason. Yeah, I mean, he's maybe the least tough guy in the league. I mean, he's just really frustrating to own and try to predict, okay, am I going to get any value out of him? Am I going to be able to play him in daily? Am I going to have to drop him in my yearly leagues? No one knows.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, that creates an uncertainty, because if he does return to play, and I would say it's probably less than 50-50, but if he does, it changes the dynamic of their offense a little bit. And I'm not sure that's a bad thing. Now, all of a sudden, instead of Tate getting the top defender guarding him, maybe now they have to put that guy on Harvin. But with that kind of uncertainty, I see you're not spending a whole lot of money on him. But I do love the Brown selection. He was very high on my list. I almost put him in the lineup.
I agree that with your pick of Doug Baldwin, Golden Tate, but I went with Doug Baldwin for almost the same reasons. He's a Seattle receiver. It's sort of a gut call. I don't have big stats. I do know that Atlanta has struggled against slot receivers. This does change completely if Harvin's in the lineup. Then I do think your pick is better than mine. But with both of them on the field, I think Atlanta's going to allow for both of them to have decent days. It's just going to be a matter of who hauls in more. I'm going with Baldwin. Tate's also a great selection. My other two are Vincent Jackson and Keenan Allen. Vincent Jackson had a rough week last week. I think he's going to bounce back this week. And Keenan Allen goes along with the selection of Phillip Rivers, which I liked. He's been an incredible receiver, 100-yard weeks, 3 out of the last 4 weeks. I think this is going to be another one.
Yeah, I like Allen. Obviously, if I like Rivers. I guess the biggest question mark I have is Jackson. I think he is a guy who has a lot of potential, no doubt about it. But I just don't know what to think about him right now. And his price is such that, you need to be. I need to be more confident in his if I'm going to put him in the lineup. I already talked about this game a little bit. I can see Tampa Bay running the ball a lot in this game because Miami is far, far better against the pass than they are against the run. So there might be limited opportunities for Jackson with a backup quarterback. I don't know. I'd stay away from him.
I really liked what I saw from Glennon last week against Seattle, which is a great defense. I mean, he put up 21 points in no time. So I think last week he struggled maybe a little bit. Jackson did, and he's gonna rebound. I just feel like he's on the cusp of a big game, and I think this is gonna be it. I agree. It's a bit boom or bust. He could have another slumping week, but I'm going with a big week.
He struggled a lot last week, yeah, but the upside is there, no doubt. He's second in the league in targets right now, behind only A.J. Green. I mean, that's pretty incredible. You've seen Mike Glennon in all but one game throw the ball 43 plus times. I mean, the opportunities should be there. And unless you're going to guess on what the game plan's going to be and say, well, I don't think he's going to throw it that many times, and I guess I could see that, but they're still going to throw it 20 to 30 times, so.
Well, it's another one of those boom or bust. Keenan Allen, I'm hoping, is going to ride me through. He's pretty reliable. We'll see what happens. Those are our wide receiver picks for this week.